What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to another edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and today we continue to look at what we are seeing at OTAs, what we are hearing from OTAs, and again, what seems like a growing, building, new culture, new vision, new brand of football for the green and white. Some of the things I have been talking about throughout these episodes are the leadership that comes from Aaron Glenn, the culture that is building, and how a part of this that we're hearing from players, that we're hearing from coaches, that we're hearing as a vision from Glenn and Muji is the idea of teaching, right? We talked about this with all the rookies. We talked about this with how Aaron Glenn thinks he can get the best out of people, like even Sauce Gardner and All Pro, like Garrett Wilson when it comes to blocking, and even in Justin Fields. And that is where we continue today. The Jets are doing something interesting that started at rookie minicamp and is continuing as a teaching tool. Get this, the quarterbacks are wearing GoPros on their head. Check this out. Listen to what quarterbacks coach Charles London had to say. You see Justin Fields right there, literally with the camera, the GoPro, on his helmet during practices. He says, using a GoPro is a great learning tool. It allows them to hear the play call in the huddle and the communication at the line of scrimmage. It helps the quarterback retrace his progressions on each pass play. Instead of trying to guess what you can see, where his eyes started, you can see how he went and in his progression. All right, remember, like I said, the Jets started this in rookie minicamp. They're continuing it throughout the offseason. I think it's good. I think it is kind of utilizing technology in a new way. We are all talking about the development of Justin Fields. If Justin Fields can take another step forward as QB1, as the franchise quarterback for this team, behind the better offensive line, with weapons all around, including his college teammate, G5 Garrett Wilson, it really will kind of unlock him. And using this as a tool to understand progressions, understand the signals, and all that can only help. So I think it is yet another interesting teaching tool that Aaron Glenn and the coaching staff is focusing on. And remember, Justin Fields has improved his completion percentage every single year he has been in the league. Until last year with Pittsburgh, he was at around 66%, which is actually above league average. Just imagine if he continues to develop like we think he can, from a first round pick who never really had organizational support and is getting better and better and now has a lot to prove. One of the other things we keep on talking about here is the culture of the green and white under Aaron Glenn. Well, we got an interesting quote from a former Jet about culture, and uniquely a former Jet that went to a place that can make it come full circle for us. This is what former Jet cornerback DJ Reed had to say now that he is no longer with the Jets and he is in Detroit. Check this out. DJ Reed on the difference in the kind of team culture now that he is with the Lions. He says, I needed to go through what I went through in New York, and I'm grateful I went through it. It's difficult. But at the end of the day, we get paid to play football and you make a commitment to your team, but it's tough when you get to September, October, November, and you're already out of the playoffs. That is tough because the energy is different when you know you're playing for something. That's what DJ Reed had to say, and I think that's interesting. I don't know if that's necessarily an indictment on the culture that he had here with Salah and Douglas, but it is saying that it was different in Detroit. Why is this so important in my opinion? This is so important in my opinion because Aaron Glenn, Tanner Angstrand are coming from Detroit. And I have said this many times on Jets Latest that in many ways he is trying to replicate what they did in Detroit. Everything from building from the offensive line out, everything from having a quarterback now in his second act that is supported with the team, everything in kind of the importance of young guys who are coached up and developing together. So it's interesting that a veteran like DJ Reed goes over there and very early on notices a difference in culture, because that's exactly what we are trying to do. And we have now heard about this so many different ways and from so many different angles. So I think it is important. All right. And DJ Reed, former Jet, noting the difference. Jets that are currently on the roster noting the difference, even like Garrett Wilson saying that he's going to have to block. Remember, I talked about no block, no rock earlier in the week here on Jets Latest. One thing that people have been talking about when it comes to Darren Muji, the GM, when it comes to Aaron Glenn, our new head coach, is that for both of them, this is the first time they are in kind of the big chair, right? Remember earlier in the week where we had quotes from Steve Wilkes as the defensive coordinator and the experience he brings, right? And how that can help Aaron Glenn as a first-time head coach, under the radar kind of thing. We talk about the experience that Tyrod Taylor brings as the only guy above 30 in the locker room now, and what that can do to help Justin Fields in things or situations that he hasn't been in before. Well, Darren Muji is also a first-time general manager. He's had a lot of experience, a lot of other roles in the front office in Denver and otherwise, but now he is in the big chair. So I think it's interesting and of note that the Jets have added experience to the front office as well. TJ McCreight has joined the Jets. He has 25 years of experience in the front office. And quite frankly, he has been successful at a number of stops, okay? Look at what he has done with the Ravens, the Eagles, the Cardinals, and the Colts, all in times when they really were good teams. I mean, look, he helped build the 2000 Ravens. He was doing some of the drafts when they got Peter Bulware, Defensive Rookie of the Year. McAllister, a Pro Bowl level kind of quarterback. Then he went to the Eagles, director of college scouting. He got them Trent Cole. That's a two-time Pro Bowler defensive end. Those Eagles teams were good. Those Eagles teams went to a Super Bowl, remember, back in 2004. Then he goes to Arizona, director of pro personnel. What do you know? The Arizona Cardinals go to the Super Bowl in his tenure. What do you know? Pro personnel, they found Kurt Warner from the darn Arena League and turned him into, but identified the talent there, and he was almost an MVP caliber quarterback there and helped the Cardinals get to a Super Bowl. Then where does he go? The Indianapolis Colts. What do? Transition from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck, for goodness sakes, who did retire early, but by all accounts was clearly a hit when it came to the draft. They drafted T.Y. Hilton during his tenure, a 4-time Pro Bowler. So I think it's very interesting that T.J. McCreight has joined the front office once again in a way of, adding to the experience. We add to the experience of the front office to support first-time general manager Darren Muji. We add the experience of a guy like Steve Wilkes to help a first-time head coach Aaron Glenn, right? We have experience where it matters in Tyrod Taylor to help the kind of new franchise quarterback Justin Fields. Once again, we are intentional everywhere. And you hear this, right? You hear everybody talking about that it's not just on the roster, that it's with coaches, that it's in the building. And this is an example of where we are also being intentional in the building, continuing to focus on culture in a lot of different ways, continuing to focus on teaching young players who have room for development. That'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. Remember to watch these videos, like these videos, subscribe to the Jets Latest channel, tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. I love engaging with you guys in the comments. I always try to check and answer a few comments every day, but if you want to engage with me more, you can always hit me up on Twitter or X at Spittin' Speeds, especially now with football season on the horizon and fantasy football season on the horizon. And with that being of note, as you know here, if you subscribe to the Jets Latest channel, you know I am also the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM channel 87, where we do more than talk just the green and white. We talk all the NFL and fantasy football, fantasy baseball. The NBA finals are getting going right now, right? The Stanley Cup finals are getting going, but it doesn't matter because FTN Fantasy is a great website, great content, great data, great tools to give you the winning edge to become a better fantasy player and a better sports bettor. So check me out on the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM. But we will continue right here on Jets Latest to give you everything you need to know about the green and white as OTAs are ongoing. Mini camp will be going on later on this week as we get to training camp in July in what should be an exciting new version of the green and white. I believe the arrow is pointing up. As we see more and more of these guys on the field together, it's interesting. More and more experts are starting to say, hey, maybe Justin Fields can take a step forward. Hey, maybe they are building it the right way. Are they going to go, 13-4 this year? I don't think so. I know a lot of people in the comments are saying things like, oh, we're always so overexcited. We always give them so much credit. No, that is not what I am saying. I don't expect them to win 12, 13 games this year. I don't expect them to win the division. The Buffalo Bills are really, really good. What I do expect is a few things. That this Jets organization is now building in the right way. I do believe we have found our new franchise quarterback in Justin Fields, who quite frankly is the guy we should have drafted instead of Zach Wilson a few years ago, right? And that if we are patient, this is going to build, and I think it's going to be similar to what we have seen over time from the Detroit Lions, who under Dan Campbell run from being a laughing stock of 0-16 to now an NFC true contender. So keep it locked here for Jets Latest as we take the ride. But for now, that'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.